Welcome to Cojo's Math. Today we're talking about multiplying fractions, but we're not going to work on fractions that are mixed numbers until the next day. Tonight we're going to only concentrate on fractions that are less than 1, okay? So let's talk about it. Let's look. So here's what we got. 1/3 times 4/9. Now when you multiply fractions, you do not get a common denominator because we don't need to do that. And we don't want to do that. That creates more work. The only time you get a common denominator is when you're adding or subtracting fractions. When you're multiplying fractions, no common denominator. You just take what's there and multiply. When we do that, we multiply numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. So you want to write that down. Numerator times numerator over denominator times denominator. Now the only work you need to show is 1 times 4 equals, let's get a different pen here so we can see it, 4, and the denominator, 3 times 3 times 9 is 27. We always look to make sure that that is in simplest form. 4 27ths, nothing goes into it, it's in simplest form. However, watch this. When we have 2/5 times 10, you like my hat? Yeah, thought I'd be like, kind of cool tonight. I like this hat, fedora, I like it. So what happens when we have 2/5 times 10/12? Well, let's take it one step. This is what you would do by doing this. Numerator times numerator, so 2 times 10 is 20, and 5 times 12 is 60. Now, we can't leave it like this. We can knock off the zeros, recognize that because they're both divisible by 10, and we get 2/6, which simplifies to 1/3. But as the numbers get bigger, and we don't use basic numbers where you can get 20/60ths, and it's easier to, that's not too bad to simplify. There are going to be times when you get into mixed numbers and so forth and so on, and these numbers with these basic fractions that are less than 1, you're going to get into problems where the number's going to be huge. So I'm going to show you a method called cross-canceling. That's what we're going to work with right now. Cross-canceling. I want you to write that down. And yes, you have to know this method. You're going to have to do it because it's good practice and it's going to save you problems later or careless mistakes when you go to simplify your fractions. So let's look at this. We're going to focus on this video of cross-canceling when you're multiplying fractions. Okay, so let's take the one we just had. 2/5 times 10/12. Okay, recognize that when we multiply 2 times 10, remember prime factorization? Well, the prime factorization of 10 is 2 times 5. Okay, so I want you to think about it like that. So we have 2, and then we're going to take the prime factorization of 10, which is 2 times 5. And do you see 2 times 2 is 4, times 5 is 20. And that's what the answer was on the other page. It should be on your notes. The numerator before 2 times 10 is 20. But I just want you to look at this. 2 times 2 times 5, that's the prime factorization of 20. Over, okay, now we're going to do the prime factorization of the 2 bottom numbers. If we multiply 5 times 12, we get 60. But what's the prime factorization of it? Well, 5 is 5, right? And then 12 is 3 times 4. Do you remember what that is? 2 times 2 times 3. Now, what you're going to do is I'm showing you this. You're not going to have to show this step. You don't need to do this, but you need to understand why you can do it. Because this is the prime factorization of 20, and this is the prime factorization of 60. And what we want to do is we want to take out the greatest common factor and cancel it out. So remember how to do that? We cancel out what's in common. The 5s are in common. There's 1 5, right? Cancel that. And then we have 2 2's up here, and we have 2 2's down here. So these 2's cancel. So what number is left in the numerator? You don't have a 0. Whenever a number divided by itself is, what's 2 divided by 2? 1. What's 5 divided by 5? 1. What's 2 divided by 2? 1. So what's left in the numerator? 1. And then the denominator, all of these cancel, so it simplifies to 3. Well, that's a lot of work. I don't want you to do that. What I want you to do is I want you to think about the factors over here. Notice that we're canceling, simplifying from numerator to denominator. Well, we can do that a step earlier. We can come over here when we first start, and we can compare any numerator to any denominator. Like this is a numerator to a denominator. That's the only way you can cancel. You can't cancel from a numerator to a numerator because you got to multiply those. You can't cancel those. So we always look only in multiplication. You can't do this with addition and subtraction. So we look and we say, well, I can compare this numerator to either denominator. Does either denominator have anything in common with 2? Well, look, 2 and 12. We'll get rid of that. And rewrite that. Rewrite 2/5 times 10/12. Rewrite that. Okay, now, the 2 goes into 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And then, how many times does 2 go into 12? 6. So we're going to cancel. That's called cross-canceling. Cross-canceling because it's not going this way, like straight across. It doesn't go this way. Cross means you have to go from a top to a bottom. A top right up here to a bottom down here or a bottom over here. It cannot go top to top. All right. So now we look at this. The 5 and the 10 are crossed from each other. One's high and one's low. So 5 goes into 10. So you say 5 divided by 5 is 1. And 10 divided by 5 is 2. Well, you can do one of two things here. You can go 2 times 1. Remember, numerator times numerator is 2. And 1 times 6 is 6. And that'll simplify to 1/3. Same thing as that and the one on the previous page where you got 20/60ths and you had to simplify it. You could also see this is a top, a numerator to a denominator. You could go ahead and simplify there, but a lot of students like that's getting really messy. You could go 2 goes into 2 and 2 goes into 6, 3. And you'd go right and get 1/3. But some students get really confused by that and don't like doing that. All right, so now let's look at the next one. What I want you to do, let's go back to this. I wanted to finish this, didn't I? These. All right, so write these down. 5/8 times 4/7 and 12/15 times 10/21. Okay? We're going to go over here and we're going to see what do they have in common. What numerator to what denominator? Cross-canceling. Well, the 5 and 7 can't cancel. They have nothing in common. They have no factor in common. But the 4 and the 8, the greatest common factor is 4. So we say 4 divided by 4 is 1. And 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now we're done. Now we multiply numerator times numerator. 5 times 1 is 5. And 2 times 7 is 14. Instead of going 5 times 4 is 20 over 56. And then we'd have to simplify 20 over 56. Well, we don't have to do that if we cancel before we get there. How about this one? This is 12/15 times 10/21. Okay, now we look at numerator to denominator, any numerator to any denominator. So 15 and 10. What's the greatest common factor of 15 and 10? 5. So you go, okay, 15 divided by 5 is 3. You write that. Then you go 10 divided by 5, because you're comparing the two, is 2. So we took out a 5 from the 10 and the 15. What about 12 and 21? What did they have in common? 3. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. And 21 divided by 3 is 7. Now we're going to say we cannot cancel the 2 and the 4 because they are flat across from each other, right? You can't go numerator to numerator. It's got to be like this. It's got to be a cross. And there's no cross. This just goes straight across. It doesn't crisscross. So 4 times 2 is 8. And 3 times 7 is 21. And that's my final answer. So now what I want you to do is I want you to stop the video, or pause the video, and I want you to do these problems. You have 4/5 times 20/24, 1/3 times 9/10, 5/9 times 2/3, 9/32 times 20/33, 1/2 times 6/7, and 2/5 times 1/3 times 1/10. Now these two, you cannot cross cancel anything. See this? The 3 and the 9 are both on the bottom. All you can do on these two is multiply. They have nothing to cross cancel. Okay, pause the video. When you're done, come back and let's check your work. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. All right. Check these. Check your cross canceling. You got to be neat on this. Your penmanship, you have to organize your work so that you can see it. If you get real messy and you get kind of careless, and you'll make careless mistakes. So you want to make sure you write these very neat and cross cancel and show the work. So number 1 simplifies to 2/3. Number 2, 3/10. Number 3, 10/27. Number 4, 15/88. Number 5, 3/7. And number 6, 2 1/50. Now look at there. I made a mistake. I could have cross-canceled the 2 and the 10 right there, and that would have taken me right away to 1/75. Can you imagine the nightmare if I had 9 times 20 is 180 and whatever 32 times 33 is, and then had to simplify that? Well, you're going to have those kinds of problems. But if you cross-cancel before you even get started, you won't have the issue of trying to simplify some huge number so you don't lose points. All right. Write down 2 things that you've learned and 1 question that you still have. Bring them to class tomorrow, and we'll have a great day. Enjoy the evening, and I'll see you tomorrow.